Hey, everybody, welcome back to I Could Be Wrong. As usual, I have Justin here with me again, and we're joined by our brother from another mother, Jason. Good evening,
What's up?
fellas. How you doing?
Great. Hey man, good evening.
Good to see you guys. You guys ready to talk some football?
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right, nice. All right, so tonight what we're going to do is we're going to take a preseason fan pulse check from these two guys. We want to try and get as many fan pulse checks from as many fan bases as possible. So if you're watching this and you're interested in joining and hopping on and talking about your favorite team and what your expectations for the upcoming season are, let us know in the comments below, and we'll be more than happy to set it up. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and get a pulse check from these two guys here. We're going to start with Justin and the San Francisco 49ers. Before we jump into the questions that I sent over to you, I want to ask, and I think I might know part of the answer, but my first question is, what made you become a 49ers fan, Justin?
Just growing up in our household, you being a Niners fan, dad being a Niners fan, it was just one of those things. And then they were winners, So as a young kid, you always want to be a fan of a winning team. So I guess at a young age, I just hopped on a bandwagon and stuck on it. But I'm thankful I have. It's been a great ride. I've seen a lot of great seasons, seen a lot of great players come and go, and really, really excited for this season.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Yeah, that's what I figured. I figured it was just part of being part of the pack. So okay. All right. Let's jump into it here. Bring it back to the present for me. And my first question is, how would you grade the 49ers offseason and why would you give it that grade?
You know, this is something I didn't give a lot of thought to before, we did the podcast. I was going to give these answers off the top of my head. I like to give my answers best that way in most cases, because I think I get the most creative. But nonetheless, I would go with a B plus. And the reason why I'm going to go with the B plus is because I think we had a really good off season. Not great, not spectacular. We lost. I'm not talking about players here. I'm going to go with the personnel first. Of course, we lost McDaniels, our OC, who is extremely creative. He goes to Miami, goes on to be head coach over there. We lose a couple of key players. In fact, Mostert, even though he was injured, he was a big part of what we did. I mean, even from just being a veteran in the locker room. So we lost a few key players and components to our offense. There was a couple of other coordinators that we lost as well. The whole Debo saga, I think, dragged on a little bit too long. I will say this. I do think they handled it really well, Debo and the 49ers organization, as far as not letting the outside noise really impact the goal that the team has. It didn't impact the vibe at all. I think everyone just still had the same goal. It didn't, create any locker room chatter. It didn't create any divide or anything like that. So I think that was great, but I do think it went a little bit long. I wish it would have been resolved, before they actually started their training camp, so on and so forth, because he could have spent that time developing some chemistry with his new quarterback, and recently announced starter Trey Lance. So I think there's a few variables there. Those are some of the downsides. The upside is that they did re-sign Debo. They got it done early enough to where now he can get some reps in through the preseason. Probably won't see him any preseason. So we've locked up a stud playmaker on our offense. Trey Lance, we handled that actually very well, I think. The whole thing with Garoppolo, I know we didn't get him traded, but the way they handled it, in the sense that, right before camp and everything, they go and say, hey, listen, Trey Lance is our starter. We're going to move on from Jimmy. This is what we're going to do. They didn't leave any room for misinterpretation once training camp got here, and I think that was huge. I think they handled that really well. And then our defensive line is stacked. You know, it's really intact from a season ago. Our defense in general is pretty intact. We've got some young studs on our defense. We've got some young studs now on offense, and I think we've got a lot of pieces. So I would go B plus, not an A or anything like that, just because there was a few areas that I think could be handled just a little bit differently. But we're championship contending team. I will say this. I also put them as a B plus because their secondary is much improved. You hear it across the league, you hear it across training camp. The addition of Tavarius Ward is going to be huge for us. He's been making play after play in training camp, and I'm excited. I'm really, really excited. So that's another reason why I give them a really good B plus grade.
All right. I got 2 follow-up questions, and then I'll see if Jason has any he has for you. But 2 follow-up questions, just real quick, yes or no, okay?
Right.
If they had traded Jimmy Garoppolo and got something in return for him already, would you have given them a higher grade?
That's I probably would have bumped him to maybe an A minus, but I think
Okay.
I think the bigger thing was allowing, you know, the chatter from Debo just to kind of go away. I think they could have got that done a little bit earlier. I think the way they've handled the Garoppolo situation is really the best they could have. Couldn't do anything about the injury. If they could have traded him earlier, that would have been great. I think if he didn't get injured, you know, they would have traded him. So you can't really fault them for not being able to trade him, you know. So they
Yeah.
get a bump, but just a slight bump.
All right. Now, second follow-up question. Again, real quick. If they end up releasing him and getting nothing, do you reduce their grade?
Yes.
Okay. I thought so. I would agree with you. All right. Jay, you got anything for you? Any follow-up on that at all? No? All right.
Disappeared on us.
He disappeared.
He'll
All
be
right, here
back.
we go. Next question. Next question. Piggybacking off the last question, okay? Of the new additions to the 49ers roster, which ones are you most excited about and why?
Well, that's a good question. We've actually got I like our draft class actually quite a bit. Um, but whew, I'm gonna have to go to Travarius Ward. Listen, our secondary was the biggest question for us all last year and most of the offseason. And even after adding Travarius Ward, most GMs and NFL analysts still would say that the 49ers secondary is one of the weaker parts of the team. But throughout training camp, the buzz about our secondary and Ward and his playmaking ability and just his impact with the other players around him. I mean, so I would say that he's the one I'm most excited about. The rookie Danny Gray, wide receiver. I'm excited about him too. He's a burner. He's made some really, really big plays. So I'm excited to see him as well. Our receiving core in general, I'm thrilled about. You know, for years there, we weren't considered to have an elite receiving group. I think we definitely have an elite receiving group.
Yeah, I agree. I think we have one of the top receiving groups in the league. All right, yeah, I like it there. I was thinking, you know, you'd probably go, you know, in the secondary or you know one of the rookies that we picked up. So okay, all right. Let me go ahead and go to the next one here. And this one, you may have touched on it already with a couple of the names that you mentioned, but drop some knowledge on us. Who's a guy on the 49ers roster that people should know about, but they probably don't know about yet?
Yeah. Uh, I thought I did give this one a little thought, and it didn't take me long. I say a little because I like the guy. I think he played really well last year, and that's Noah Hufanga, our safety. And the guy he's around the ball. He's around the ball. He can make plays. He can stop the run. He had a couple of big interceptions last year. So I think we need to, everyone needs to watch out for him because again, going back to that secondary, he's another big part of our secondary. You have him as safety, you got Jimmy Ward as the other safety, you've got our cornerbacks who are much improved. Emmanuel Mosley, you got the addition of Javarius Ward. Hafunga, he actually was drafted last year, played some key moments last year as the season progressed. He's worked out with Troy Polamalu, Hall of Famer. I heard they have the same hairstylist too. No, seriously, the play. I mean, what we saw last year was just a flash in the pan of the kid's potential. I'm extremely excited to see what he can bring to our team. If he can just improve a little bit on what he gave us last year, it's going to be tremendous. I'm really, really excited about our secondary overall, our corners, our safeties, everywhere across the board. I'm really ecstatic about our DBs.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. I know obviously I'm asking you the questions, but I'm gonna throw one out there that some folks know, but probably not as many people know them that should know them or that will know them by the end of the season. And that's our number 3 wideout right now, Jawan Jennings. I think that kid right there has a bright future, and I think that he's poised to benefit from the attention that Ayuk and Debo are going to get this year. Obviously, Kittle drawing attention too, so that's a name to watch as well. But I like the one that you threw out there also.
Jawan Jennings had a couple of major third down catches last year in some key moments. He made some catches that if
in the Rams game,
in the Rams game, if he wouldn't have made those catches, 18. We would have been.
Would have missed the playoffs.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. So just another one to throw out there. Yeah, I like it. So, all right, let's move on. Next one here. As you take a look at the upcoming schedule, obviously we're getting really close. Hall of Fame games tomorrow. 49ers' first preseason game is next weekend, but the regular season is about a month or so away, or a little over a month away. What game or games do you have circled on that schedule as must-see, can't-miss games?
Yeah, right there in week 4 against the Rams. That NFC West Championship matchup against the Rams, or just the NFC Championship game matchup. These guys put on a show, and the Rams, they came out. They were the better team at the end of the game. When it mattered the most, their defense came through. I think though, I could be wrong, but I think if we had just a little bit more agility at the quarterback position late in the game, someone who could move around a little bit more, evade the pass rush a little bit better, someone like Trey Lance, we probably would have had a better chance to win that game. So we didn't. The Rams won. So I'm excited to see how they go into LA and respond early in the year. And it's what's going to be a really important divisional game. It's going to be their toughest test early on. So that's the first game I have circled. I want to see that. I want to see how they come in and face those guys. I always like to circle the games that they're going to have a lot of competition. So I've got like a little group of games. It's a 3-game span, actually a 4-game span, where they've got a really tough slate of games. It's the Chiefs, the Rams, the Chargers, the Cardinals, the Saints. The Dolphins could be a really good team too. You got the Bucks. Look at that stretch of games right there. Then you get to the Seahawks and Commanders. The Raiders are going to be much more improved, but there's like that 5, 6, 7 game stretch where that's going to be a tough stretch of games. A lot of good teams that we're going to be playing. hopefully Trey Lance and the offense have things figured out. Their chemistry is really good by that point, because those are good teams. Those are all playoff quality teams. Chiefs, playoff quality. Rams, playoff quality. Chargers, playoff quality. Cardinals, I mean, they're not in the best position, but by that time
They
they
made the
should have
playoffs
D-Hop
last
back.
year.
Yeah, they made the playoffs. By that time they should also have D-Hop back. Saints, they're generally a good team. I mean, even without Sean Payton there, I think they're going to be a better team than they were last year, just with the addition of, Michael Thomas coming back. They added Jarvis Landry. So I would circle that whole stretch right there as a Niners fan, because honestly, it's a tough stretch. It's a really tough stretch. We're going to find out what our team is made of during that span of games.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Yeah, I think the Week 4 game versus the Rams looked like that one's at home, but either way, playing the Super Bowl champions, a team that they were very close to beating in the NFC Championship game last year. So I'm definitely, looking forward to that one. Always look forward to them playing against Mahomes. Unfortunately, the last time we played them didn't turn out so well when it mattered. Hopefully they get a little bit of revenge, although it won't take away the sting of losing the Super Bowl. Obviously, like you said, that stretch is pretty tough. I would say, again, we've talked about it previously. I don't expect the Cardinals to be very, very tough or very, very strong. So I think that might be the one little break they get in that little stretch. But you're right. I mean, if you think about Chiefs, NFC or AFC Championship participant, Rams, and Super Bowl champions.
Yep.
Chargers would have made the playoffs if their coach wasn't an idiot. Cardinals made the playoffs last year. Saints are always a formidable team. Defense is really good. Jameis Winston, if he stays healthy, they should be pretty solid. Michael Thomas, if he stays healthy, they'll definitely be pretty solid, assuming health, of course.
Yep.
Dolphins picked up Tyreek Hill. They've got a pretty, say what you want about Tua. He's accurate, and when he gets time, he can put the ball where it needs to go. So, if he gets rolling by that late in the season, who knows, how hot the Dolphins might be.
And think about the understanding that they're going to have of our team too, the Dolphins, because of their head coach.
The head coach. Yep, exactly. Obviously Bucks. They have Tom Brady. They're a solid team. Assuming they're healthy, they're going to be still in the thick of things Week 14. So I imagine that'll be a tough game. Then, like you said, they get a little bit of a break. I do think the Raiders are going to be a tough matchup as long as they're healthy. All of these are, of course, assuming health. But, yeah, I think the Raiders are definitely going to be a tough matchup for everybody this year, not just the 49ers. And then that Week 18. So, yeah, that stretch right there is obviously we're excited to watch all the games. But I would say that middle stretch of the season for a 49ers fan, that's going to make or break whether we're watching football, for us, meaningful football in January or February.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's go ahead and I got one last question for you here in our fan pulse check. What do you feel is the 49ers ceiling this season, and do you think they will reach that ceiling?
Well, I mean, just like a lot of analysts, and I'm not a professional, I'm a fan.
You're a fanalist.
Yeah, I'm a fanalist. I think their ceiling is a Super Bowl, and that is not the fan of me. Like that's really just if I wasn't a fan of the Niners and I was on the outside looking in, if I was, say, a Raiders fan, like our colleague visitor today, Jason, I would still look at the Niners team and go, you know what, that's a good team. They're definitely a Super Bowl caliber team. Do I think they'll reach it? Yeah, I mean, you have to go as a fan. You have to go. You have to say, yes, they're going to reach it. And
let me reword it this way. I guess the way I should have worded it is, what is it going to take for them to reach that ceiling?
Well, for the 49ers to reach their ceiling, I think it's just going to take the Trey Lance letting the game come to him naturally, letting his teammates really help him, let the game come to him, let his teammates coach him, and take the responsibility early on to get themselves in the right spot. And then as the season progresses, just let him naturally kind of grow into that leadership role. And I think if they can do that, if they can just let it naturally happen, very similarly to how the Chiefs did with Mahomes in his second season when he took over as full-time starter, their playmakers really helped him come along. So if the 49ers can do that and their coaching staff can really put him in good position to win games, I think his natural ability will just kind of kick in, and that's what it's going to take for them to get to the Super Bowl and win it. That's how they'll reach it.
Agreed. I think Trey Lance is the key to everything for the 49ers.
Yeah.
They got all the other pieces are in place, and hopefully he is the last piece of that puzzle. If not, they spent a lot of draft capital on something that doesn't fit in a ready-made roster.
Yeah.
All right.
He's gonna do just fine. I think we're gonna think back and be like, you know what? I'm glad they gave up those picks.
I'm gonna look back. If everything turns out the way that I hope it does, I'm gonna look back and say that I was at his first start ever, even though it was a loss. I was there.
Yeah.
Right there in Glendale. So, all right, cool. That is all we got for you in this episode of I Could Be Wrong. As usual, please like, subscribe, leave a comment. Be on the lookout for more content weekly throughout the rest of the week. Tomorrow, the next day, day after that. Be on the lookout. And last but not least, please be kind, even to Cowboys fans.